right, it's now 4 o'clock, so I would like to call the July 15th meeting of the Downtown Design Review Board to order. And I'm going to start with introductions.
Cameron Bolin, AIA representative.
Rick Blackburn, Historic Zoning Commission.
Taylor Thompson, Downtown Resident Representative.
Megan Rhodes, City Resident Representative.
Lisa Sear Burnett, Business Development Representative.
Lisa Sorensen, Downtown Knoxville Alliance Representative.
Perry Childress, East Tennessee Community Design Center.
Sarah Martin, Urban Design Representative.
Tony Allen, Downtown Development Representative.
Samuel Hub, Knoxville, Knox County Planning.
Mike Reynolds, Knoxville, Knox County Planning.
Melinda Woolert, Knoxville, Knox County Planning.
Christina McGrath-Tillery, City Law Department.
Mark Reel, City of Knoxville Plans Review and Inspections.
Great. The minutes for the June meeting are provided in your packet. There is one correction, which is up at the top. It says it's the May meeting. It's not. It's the June meeting. Are there any other corrections? And if not, we will entertain a motion to approve the minutes with the correction of the date.
I motion to approve with the correction.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. With that, I'll ask the staff to read the staff report.
Okay, so since last meeting, we had one level 1 COA, and this was for a new front porch at 429 Chickamauga Avenue. This was a CAC accessibility project. They removed this existing non-original front porch and replaced it with a 4x4 stoop made with pressure-treated wood with steps, 6-inch posts, and simple balusters and railing.
With that, are we ready to go on to the certificates of appropriateness? Very good. All right. So leading off the meeting for the certificates of appropriateness, we're going to start with 1120 Adcock Avenue, the certificate 7A26IH, and we'll hear a staff report on this one.
This case is for a new single-family house fronting Adcock Avenue. The house measures 30 feet wide by 44 feet deep and is proposed to be set 23 feet from the front lot line, with the front porch set at 15 feet. Parking is a driveway next to the house and is accessed via Adcock Avenue. It features a 612 pitch front gable roof clad in asphalt shingles, an exterior lap siding, and a block foundation clad in stucco that measures approximately 8 inches tall at the front elevation and increases in height to approximately 6.5 feet tall at the rear elevation. The building features an 8-foot deep partial width front porch recessed under a projecting front gable massing with board and batten in the gable field and supported by 2 6-inch posts with lattice or decking screening the underside. The block features minimal traditionals, craftsman bungalows, and infill construction that is all 1 story, so the proposed height is appropriate. The foundation height increases with the downward slope of the property, similar to other houses on the block, and is clad in stucco to be adequately finished. Major changes to the foundation height must return to the board for review. The board approved the same house design at 1130 Adcock Avenue in February that has since been constructed. It's right down here. And that project used shakes in the porch gable field, while this project uses board and batten. The final siding color should be different from the color used at 1130 Adcock Avenue. With that, staff is recommending approval of Certificate 7A26IH, subject to the following conditions. The final site plan to meet city engineering standards with minor revisions to be approved by staff, major changes to the foundation height to return to the board for review, and the final siding color be different from the siding color used at 1130 Adcock Avenue.
Great. Is the applicant present?
He should be on Zoom, but I don't believe he's here yet. So we might want to consider postponing to after this next case.
Okay,
on the
I
agenda.
think let's do that. So let's entertain, or I can just make a motion to postpone this agenda item to later in the meeting so that our applicant can come. Any seconds?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, with that, we will postpone discussion. All right, the next certificate to review is 958 Chickamauga Avenue. That's certificate number 7C26IH.
All right. This case is for a new duplex fronting Chickamauga Avenue that uses the middle housing standards. The building measures 35 feet wide by 53.5 feet deep and is proposed to be set 29.4 feet from the front lot line. Parking is a basement-level garage at the rear elevation that is accessed via driveway from the rear alley. Features an exterior of fiber cement lap siding, a block foundation clad in stucco that measures approximately 2 feet tall at a facade, and a 6/12 pitch side gable roof with a 3/12 pitch front gable massing on the rear elevation. The duplex features 2 adjacent units that share a full-length 8-foot deep front porch, recessed under a shed roof and supported by 4 columns with bases clad in stone veneer and 6-inch posts. The block features 1- and 2-story Queen Anne cottages, craftsman bungalows, and minimal traditionals, so the 2-story height will be compatible with the context. The basement-level garage begins around an existing drop-in grade, will be clad in stucco to be adequately finished, and will not be visible from the right-of-way. Any major changes to the foundation height must return to the board for review. The large massing is divided into smaller sections by the bay windows on the facade, the rear massing, and the trim dividing the stories. The porch posts with stone veneer and the gable brackets reflect the historic context and should be retained. With that, staff is recommending approval of Certificate 7C26IH, subject to the following conditions. The final site plan to meet city engineering standards with minor revisions to be approved by staff, meeting applicable standards of Article 4.6 and 9.3J, with minor revisions to be approved by staff, any major changes in foundation height to return to the board for review, and retaining the porch posts and gable brackets as depicted.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
He should be on Zoom.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I'm here.
Great, thank you. Do you want to add anything to the staff comments?
I do not have anything to add at this point.
We need your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Drew Whitmer. I'm representing Recursive Properties. And my address is 9934 San Madre Drive, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37922.
Very good, thank you. And with that, we'll open it up to board discussion.
I had one thing that I noticed on this. If you can go to the site plan, are you able to, I guess you don't really need to zoom in. The one thing that I noticed is the main massing line. It seems like it needs to be back further. I appreciate that the applicant included the adjacent houses on the site plan. It looks like the house to the left on the plan there, it seems like the porch is back further. And I think, especially since it's a 2-story massing, I think pushing it back to align with that back porch of the house to the left would be a better move for the neighborhood. But I'm open to board discussion on it.
Applicant, do you have any particular reason it needed to be set that far forward compared to the context?
We actually put it at the maximum recommended setback of 29.4.
Yeah, this is a middle housing project that has to be within 5 feet of the average of the block face. So here, you know, the front setback is measured here, not to the front porch. Y'all do have the ability to approve a reduced front setback if you think it helps it align better with the block, but I believe that's the maximum they can do and meet middle housing standards.
And Drew, do you know from your project planning perspective, would it be fine if the board did decide they wanted it shifted back a little bit because of, like, this building has a porch, whereas a lot of the neighboring houses, it's just the front of the house, which is what's creating that discrepancy. Would it be a problem for your project if we moved it back?
I would need to revisit the grading plan for this to ensure that we would have the elevation to work with there to make that work.
I think if it goes back, it's gonna, definitely the porch will get guardrails. If it shifts the depth of the porch, it's gonna be dropping from, like if you look at the left elevation, you can start to see how that would negotiate grade.
It does look like the contour lines have been shifted forward, though.
They've
It
pre-graded.
appears from
Okay.
that. So if they were to just move it back to keep the grade where it is, it might actually not be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So Melinda, are you saying we don't really have purview to shift it back at all?
You do have purview to shift it back. It would just, you know, require y'all approving an alternative dimensional standard, since that wouldn't comply with the middle housing front setback. So you might just want to add a condition saying requiring or allowing for a front setback in a certain range.
It's the setbacks to the front of the house, not the porch. That's the problem, right? Even though the porch is under a roof.
Yes, it's to the conditioned space of the house, and porches can extend into a front yard.
Yeah, it's funny because usually we like that because we're like, oh, we can get that extra space up front with the porch, but in this case, you're right, it doesn't align with the context as well.
Yeah, and if you want to approve the greater setback, since it needs to be, the guidelines speak to consistent setbacks, and so you just need to say it's approving an increased setback to be consistent with the surrounding neighborhood, something along those lines, that it's to conform with the guidelines and the consistency of the neighborhood.
Is there a language you could use to somehow align it with the adjacent houses as well? Or is it, because, I mean, based on that guideline, it seems like this would be approved, right?
Yeah, I mean, y'all's justification, does align with the design guidelines. We don't have the measurements of the adjacent houses right now, so it'd be a little bit difficult to provide that at this moment, but we do know it's 29.4 feet to here, which is pretty aligned. So you can have that as reference at least.
It looks like the real contour challenge is from the alley to the garage. And it seems to have enough room that it could go back and not make that driveway too steep. He's got a pretty sizable apron there at 956, which is the basement elevation is 956.75. So he's got some room to push it back, it looks like, and not offend the alley. Looks like where that drive leaves the alley's at 955, and they maintain that elevation for a distance. So it looks like if we wanted to push it back 5 feet, sort of split the difference on the porch and the mass to its adjacent houses, it would be reasonable. Does that sound okay to the owner?
Yeah, I'm fine with moving it back 5 feet if that's what the board recommends.
Is there an actual sidewalk in front of the house, like on Chickamauga? Because I know at some point the sidewalk falls off. So like I'm trying to think, like, though we're all aspirational and hoping to get, one day there'll be a sidewalk, and that's why we want to have the sidewalk extending to the street from the house. But does this one have one currently? There's not. But I mean, we'd have to live in a world where we hope that there is one. So that there would be an experience of what we're trying to mitigate, right? Tony, you're trying to say that you're not going to have this imposing relationship to the street when you walk past it. Personally, the porch is only one story, and then it steps up to 2, which then aligns with the block face. So I'd be okay with it remaining as is. But if the board overall feels like we should shift it some, then that's okay too. But I don't feel strongly one way or the other. The project seems better than a lot that we see. So it's a good looking project compared to some of the infill housing we see. So I appreciate the work on that.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to craft a motion or a condition that allows for the setback to be increased 5 to 8 feet, maybe the depth of that porch, but at the applicant's discretion, knowing that it would be nice, I think, to move it back off that front line a little bit. But if they can't for topographical reasons, then that is fine. Unless any board members want to discuss further, if it remains in the position applied for, is that fine?
I think my only hesitation is I don't want it to be proud of the houses next to it. I would it either needs to be aligned or it needs to be pushed back. And currently the site plan looks like it's pushed forward a couple feet from the house to the right. So I would craft a motion that says we would like it to move back, say 2 to 5 or 4 to 8 feet to better align with the houses that are adjacent.
I'd second that, but does Tony need to say it officially overruling the middle housing
Recording in
standards?
progress.
Do you have to say something like that? Like you have to like override middle housing standards to increase the setback, correct?
Is that okay? Okay, so I'll
Yeah, it would just be a condition to your motion, yeah.
sure. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve per staff recommendation with the added condition to increase the front setback by 4 to 8 feet as a deviation to the middle housing guidelines to better align with the adjacent houses.
Yeah, second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, that one carries. Thank you, Drew.
Yeah, sorry, I lost you all there, but it sounds like I got the final end of it. So we're just going to shift it back 4 to 8 feet and it's approved. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. All right, with that, next on my agenda here is 2802 North Broadway, and that is certificate 12E 25IH. Is that correct?
Yes, so that one's requesting postponement. We have a few, we have 3 infill housing cases that have requested to be postponed to the next meeting. The one at 0 Rudy Street, 7D26IH, that's an automatic postponement, but the other 2 will need to be voted on since they've been postponed before.
Oh, so we'll have to vote on the certificate or vote to
Vote to
postpone them?
postpone.
Got it. Okay, great. So yeah, the next 3. So first certificate request, this 12E 25IH. Can I get a motion to postpone 1 month? Is that what we're motioning? Okay, 1 month.
So moved.
Can I get a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Certificate 12E 25IH is postponed to next month. Next up, can I get a motion to postpone certificate 2A 26IH to next month's meeting? Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's certificate 2A 26IH postponed to next month. And then the last postponement application here, we've got certificate 7D 26IH. Could I get a motion to postpone that one to the next meeting?
Move to postpone to 30 days.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's gonna be the fastest meeting on record. All right, next up, the one we're here to discuss for a little bit longer is the certificate 6A 26DT.
Are we wanting to, let me see if he's here. Yeah,
Oh, that's right, let's circle back to
Yeah.
that one.
he's still not on Zoom.
Okay, but we could check back maybe after this last certificate?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so this one is 250 Patton Street. And let's hear from the staff to kick us off.
I would like to state for the record, I need to recuse myself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm recusing myself also.
Very good.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Just so everybody knows, I think we need 6 for a quorum, and I think we do still have 6, so I think we're good. Okay, so 250 Patton Street's a new mixed-use building with 7 stories. It includes structured parking, ground floor retail at the corner of Patton, Florida. The rest of the ground floor that is not parking garages is amenity space. The second, well, there's a mezzanine level too, but then there's 2 through 7 store levels are residential uses. Okay, so go to the location and context. All these images are in your packet, so I don't have anything really different here. If you're familiar, this property is adjacent to the new Covenant Health Park. It's to the east of the property. It has an existing 1-story kind of warehouse commercial space and a surface parking lot that would all be removed. Looking at their floor plans, and just so you know, I'm going to go through these kind of quick because there's a lot of information here, and we'll probably just, if you have questions, we can either I can help or the applicant is here too, who can provide more detail. So this is the beginning of the parking garage. It's the lower level. It's behind the structure. It gets access from Florida Street, which is next to the residential units on the outside of the baseball stadium. On the opposite side, on Georgia Street, that's where their trash and other service, like loading area and stuff like that, is located. They have no access to Patton Street other than pedestrian access. Next level is what I would call like the ground floor, level 1. As you see, there is a retail space on the Patton, Florida intersection or corner of the building. The rest of the space is pretty much dedicated to amenity space for the residential, leasing, package room, and so on. Again, there's more parking. I didn't put all the floors in here in this packet, but or in the presentation. I do have them further down in my presentation if we want to see the rest of the floors, which you can see on the side elevation or the cross section of the building is the back side. Well, so you can see that there's about 3 stories or so parking garage on the back side of the building. A couple stories, or it's really a story and a half of amenity, retail, and other spaces for the residential structure as well as the retail. And then the rest of the stories above are all units. On the back side of the building, there is a courtyard that's private for the residents. It includes, like a pool and other type of amenities. So that's not visible really from the public street. It's only visible from the rear of the structure. I'm just going to go through the materials real quick. So previous iterations of this plan had more brick to it, metal siding on the front, and so basically what's kind of changed is some of the brick was reduced and then replaced with a high density composite material, kind of like a fiberboard. And applicant can explain more about that material if you'd like. Other than that, the front facade really hasn't changed much. So you got 2 stories of brick, and then above that is the composite wall panels, metal panels, and wood soffit, and so on. They are doing aluminum windows, and there's also aluminum storefront assemblies. So pretty much all the materials on the 3 street-facing sides are all the same. The rear facade changes a little bit, but it's not street-facing. This is just a little bit of information. Again, this is in your packet of showing some images of the high-density composite material. North elevation, so this is Patton Street side. If anybody has any questions, we can go through more detail, but it's pretty straightforward. I will say the one thing I want to point out, so on the left side of their elevation, so the east side of this elevation, there's 2 access points that are recessed. So you can see those little guardrails there. They have stairs that go down to an entrance. The DKW, downtown Knoxville Warehouse District, requires a pedestrian or an access point every 50 feet. So they needed those doors, but because of the grade rising as it goes from west to east along that frontage, their actual floor plate's lower than the sidewalk level. So that's how they're accommodating those doors. On the Florida Street side, this is where their garage entrance is. So the elevation is going down as you go to the rear of the structure. So it's getting taller. They do intend to have some kind of murals on that side of the building to help break up the facade a bit more, as kind of represented here. It's not a final design, but that's kind of their intention. There are louvers where the garage openings are, as well as a metal overhead door. Then going to the opposite side, Georgia Street, similar metal garage doors for the service entrances, louvers, again, at the garage openings, same materials that we've seen in the other elevations. Rear elevation is where it changes a little bit from the materials. It's pretty much all, so the portion of the building that's not part of the courtyard has all aluminum, metal panel siding. And then as you get into the courtyard, it changes to similar materials that we see on other elevations, but also a new introduced composite wall panel that's different. But again, that's not really, it's not visible from the public way. It's really internally facing. And these are just images. Again, it's in your packet. Just wanted to have them available. It's a little bit easier to understand the project with these renderings. And then, so the staff recommendation is to approve certificate 6A 26DT subject to the following conditions: meeting all applicable standards of the zoning ordinance on the final plan set, meeting all applicable requirements of city engineering, urban forestry, and urban design and development departments, and submitting the signage package for consideration for approval by the board under a separate application. There's quite a bit more detail in the packet itself, and if we need to, we can bring up the PDF of the packet and discuss, but things like window details and how the materials come together and that kind of thing. So anyway.
Thank you, and I think the applicant is here. Could you state your name and address for the record?
Sure, David. Yeah, hit the little person button. There you go.
David Pena with Alpha Residential. And if I could just briefly comment on a few of the statements that were made so far.
Can you give us your address as well, please?
Oh, sure. It is 44 Abell Road, Bridgeville, Pennsylvania, 15017 is our corporate offices.
Do we have to also read public input before?
We don't need to read it. We did hand it to you, so just know that, yeah, we did get public comment earlier today that we printed off for everybody.
And after the applicant speaks, there will be a time for the community to speak too, for anyone that's present on Zoom or in person.
I didn't get one of those. Do we have extra, Sarah? Okay.
Just kind of want to address a couple of items so that everybody has a good understanding of where we are today and where we started. We started with the original vision of a much taller building, much higher density. It was a high-rise concept. We were targeting, 350 to 400 units. We had a master plan vision for our site and then a couple of parcels next door. We were not able to assemble all of that. And then we got into the market and studied what the market could tolerate, what it would absorb today. And we ended up where we are pretty much today. So we're at 245 units, which is a 5/2. We are trying to manage some slope issues there, so we don't have a flat surface we have to cut in. We don't want to cut in too much because there's a lot of historical unknowns in this area, so we don't want to disturb more than what we want to handle. And we also want to manage the costs. Once you start getting into that, you start really just increasing costs, and it might make this project not viable. But we've kind of hit a sweet spot where we're at a good unit mix. We're at a great density, doesn't saturate the neighborhood. One of the comments about the brick, we went from an original concept of a steel structure over concrete. We went back to a wood structure over concrete. With the wood structure over concrete, we can't support brick all the way up, just wouldn't work. So we came up with a really good products and some good, thankful to the architects for doing that, some good elevations and some good programs that would work on this building that look really good and very similar to what we have before. We do have some samples of the products if anybody wants to see those or touch them or get a feel for what we're going to do, but we feel they'll be very complementary to what's already going on in the district now. We're super excited about it. We think it's going to be a great addition to the stadium district. We kind of feel like we're filling in a role that they had when they started the vision here. This will be the first not connected to the stadium multifamily building that's coming in to try to address some of the housing needs. We have been very thoughtful and we have been very intentional in our approach to our commitment to Knoxville. And I say that because I do think it's important for everyone to understand that our vision for this area goes beyond this site. We're working towards that. We haven't got there quite yet, but we think we will. But we've taken our own efforts to communicate with the community members and kind of get a feel for the concerns and the needs that are out there. And our number one goal is provide housing. And Knoxville is an area that has a tremendous need for that. We are working with the city right now on the pilot program. We haven't finalized that yet, but we are pursuing that. We have committed to a 10% workforce housing commitment there. So that will be part of our program, and that is included in our unit mix. So our goal is to provide a place that's open and welcoming to everybody. And this is just the beginning. So we do take those comments seriously, and we do consider our role in developing these communities very important, and we take it seriously. So everywhere we've been, everywhere we go, that's one of our driving factors. We're not just here to build one product. We're here to build many. We did that in Nashville. We're on our 5th project now. And we'll do the same thing here. That's what our plan is. So we're excited about it. We're thankful for everybody here that's been sharing information with us and answering our questions and helping us get adjusted to the community. It's amazing. We were here last week, and I was sitting outside the stadium before the baseball game, and I was thinking a year and a half ago, the difference that it is in that neighborhood is tremendous. A year and a half ago, I was sitting out there, and we were walking the sites, and we were looking at everything and thinking about what we could do here, and it was just empty. There was nothing. A couple of trucks and leftover equipment from the stadium build, and it was hard to really believe that if you build it, they'll come, you know. But this year, you stand out there and you can see it. It's happening right before your eyes. People are coming to the area. There's a lot of excitement. We have people asking us every day what's happening in Knoxville. We have investors asking us, hey, what's happening in Knoxville? So to be a part of that is super exciting. And just to see what's happened in the last year alone is just really encouraging. So anyway, I'll probably talk more than I should. I always do. But our architects are here if we have any questions for them about the design itself. And we'll hang out if we can answer any other questions for you.
Thank you. And I think unless there are more comments from the applicant right now, we can switch to community input. Is there anyone on Zoom or here in the live room that would like to speak on behalf of the community?
Sure, I'll put my hand up to speak. This is Vince Cianciolo. I live out in West Knox.
Could you give your street address for the record?
13020 Lovelace Road.
Thanks, Vince. Go ahead.
Sure. So I'm sorry I didn't prepare any remarks. It was not obvious to me that there was an opportunity for public input. So this will be kind of scattered. I sent you my input, so if you read that, then you'll know what I have to say. But basically, I feel like Knoxville can do better than this. With my apologies to the architects, I don't feel like this addresses Knoxville's housing need. We surely do need housing. High density housing is great. I don't know that we need luxury $2,500 a month apartments, which is what this looks like to me. I feel like we need some mixed-use development that will actually bring families downtown. To me, this looks like houses for investors to rent out as Airbnbs, or they look like apartments that my colleagues, retiring Oak Ridge employees with money to spare, and they like to come downtown, so they buy downtown units and spend a few days a month downtown, as opposed to living downtown. The development does not look pedestrian friendly to me. It looks kind of like a fortress. All those amenities on the inside. Doesn't look like something that would make me want to walk around downtown, which is something I certainly love to do right now. So I'm all for high density development, but personally, I think that this needs some tweaks to actually produce, something that would really benefit downtown. So that's my comments.
Thank you. I know our typical format, unless there's other community input, is to allow the applicant to respond to any feedback from the community. Any more comments from the community first? Zoom or in person? And hearing none, if the applicant would like to respond to any of those comments, you are welcome to.
Oh, thank you. Just briefly, it is a mixed-use building, so we do have programming for retail. And we anticipate waiting to see. We've reached out to the city to see where they're going to land a pedestrian bridge, and we've expressed our openness and willingness to work with them. They don't have updates on plans or drawings or anything current that's hard set in stone, so we can't work with that. We're ready and we're open and willing to, and as soon as they tell us, hey, this is what we want to do on the backside of Florida, we will do what we can to accommodate that. We know that there is a project next door to us that is another developer's working on. We haven't seen that progress yet. We've reached out to them and asked them, hey, what's happening there? We're ready to work with you guys. How can we work together to coordinate? In one of our previous renditions, in our master plan, that's what we had. It was a plaza, it was a street opening, it was a connectivity to the stadium door. And we see that coming, and that's going to happen. It's just going to be a matter of time. And it's going to be a matter of coordinating. So we may be the first open there, and when the neighbors and developers catch up, we'll coordinate with them and we'll work together to make this a pleasant existence for everybody there. But just as you saw with the stadium, it took one person to come and open a retail space in the stadium, and they were there by themselves. And it was kind of weird, right? You walk by there and there was one little restaurant or something. Now you've got multiple restaurants, and you're going to have an ice cream shop soon, and you're going to have other retail soon. And as time goes by, it starts to fill in. It becomes very natural. But you've got to let it evolve, and you got to start somewhere. And yes, we're not claiming this is solving all of the housing problems in Knoxville today, but this certainly does get started. And our program is set up to meet the housing needs of the people that are demanding housing in this area. I don't see a lot of families coming down here. None of our market data suggests that. It suggests that these are going to be young professionals. It suggests that these are going to be people working in the area. It's going to be industry people. It's going to be some students. That's who needs housing in this area, the people that are working in this area, the people that are commuting to this area on a regular basis. And our market data, we spend a lot of time and a lot of money on that, and it guides us. And it wouldn't make any sense to do anything different, because you're going to have a bunch of units sitting there empty, and that doesn't solve anybody's problems. That just scares more people away. So to the best that I think that kind of addresses that. I think we're definitely excited about what this can do as a catalyst for the area. And I'll just share one anecdotal piece of information. In Nashville, there's a neighborhood called the Marathon Village neighborhood, and it's downtown. And it's right outside of the main downtown, very similar to this. And when we got there, our owner looked at that site, and he bought a site, and he committed to build a project there. And he built 360 units. And today, you go back to that site, and our site is surrounded by 4 other developments. Many, many more units have come in, retail, other things have followed us. But you got to start with one. And we kind of feel like we're not the original pioneer because Yardley's already out there, but we kind of feel like we are because we're on the other side. We're not connected to the stadium. We don't have that benefit. But we do believe that once we get this thing started, the rest are going to come. So it's exciting. I think it's going to be a really good project for Knoxville. And the goal, again, is to start breaking ground by the end of the year or the first of next year. First quarter for sure. Everything we've done, and we've gone pretty fast. We've pushed these guys pretty hard. We want to break ground first quarter of next year. So that's why today is so important for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other community input before we open to board discussion? All right. In terms of, I think this is a good forum for community feedback about mixed income housing and some of the type of programming that we want to have downtown. Our purview as a board is more about the design guidelines and speaking to some of these details of the envelope and fenestration on all of those elements. So let's open up that discussion. Yeah, okay, great. From the board.
Just starting out, does the city have any city staff here? Are we aware of any plans that the city has to do pocket parks or linear parks or greenways or anything in this area?
I'm not aware of any personally.
Is there currently a greenway that goes around the stadium? And then how far away is that? Is that close to the backside at all?
Yeah, there is a greenway that goes around the stadium, and I believe it connects through the KCDC property. It'd be to the east. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look at KGS to figure out what the address was or what the parcel ID was.
I guess we can come back to that, but I'm concerned about the backside. I know that there's no street frontage, so it's kind of hard to enforce anything, but it will be visible from, I believe it's Summit Hill, that's up high over there. I know there's some greenery that's kind of between there and a creek, but it seems like a logical location for a future greenway connection to run along there. And obviously, if the city doesn't have any current plans, it's hard to say anything about it other than, can you speak to the materiality? I see it's mostly the garage face, and will there be any extra detailing with the brick that's back there or anything like that?
There could be. I mean, there's a lot that's going to happen between now and the final construction of this project. There'll be some landscape architect work that may go into that. And I can't speak for the city, but I can speak for what's been told to me. There's 2 parcels right next door to us, and we have been told that there is a plan to drop a landing of a greenway somewhere in that area. So it is going to come. And the idea that has been shared with us is that it's going to be some sort of plaza, some sort of walking area. They had a full design several years ago. We did see that, but that's no longer current. So I can't say that that is what they're going to do. But we know that something like that is coming, and it's just going to take time. So you're right. It is going to be activated on that side. But to get our flow of traffic and to be able to work with the slope without cutting into it, to cut and go down is super expensive. All the shoring that has to go in. So to take advantage of that slope, that's where we have to have that space at. But we can dress it up a lot of different ways, and we can make it more aesthetically pleasing. And it's going to look good either way. I mean, the way it is right now, it probably doesn't show well on the pictures, but it's a very attractive building. I may just be partial, but I think it's going to look really nice. It's just a different facade than the other side. And we don't really know what's going to come on the other side. We've been, it could be a restaurant on the backside. It could be something else we could open up to. But we're trying to leave it kind of like a blank slate where we can add to it depending on what comes without having to change a lot. If we make too many commitments early, then we have to go change it all. It gets super expensive. But the more vanilla we kind of leave it right now, we can kind of accommodate what comes next. But it's going to be attractive. It's not going to be an eyesore. If you look at what's out there right now and you look at what they're looking at every day, this is going to be an improvement 1,000 times over. So
I do appreciate the level of detailing you've included in the package at this point and in the design. I guess you kind of touched on it, but it is going to be flexible back there.
Yeah.
That's all garage space, right? That could potentially be opened up to retail if there was a linear park or something that were to go in there in the future.
conceptually, yes. Structurally, I have to defer to the architects, let them.
I state my name, Sean P. Sean with Michael Graves.
Can we get your address for the record too? Thanks.
210 7th Street, Southeast Washington, D.C. To your point about the rear facade, the masonry detailing that we have, and we have some, I don't know if it's in your package, but we have details that show the level of brick detailing that's going to happen. That same brick detailing continues around the rear facade. So, you know, the brick detailing that we have on Patton Street, Florida, and Georgia will continue around to the back. So I just wanted to state that for the record.
Yeah, it's because it's hard to tell from the package.
And as far as flexibility of space, that space back there is garage, and the levels will be sloped to meet the parking requirements. So flexibility in terms of use in the future would require us to make structural changes if we were to create different space back there. But it's going to be designed and built for parking.
Could you talk a little bit about you have just the corner of retail, but to just talk about how that street's going to be activated with that amenities space. Can you describe the amenities space and how that's going to be, eyes on the street, activation with the street? Talk a little bit about that.
So the ground floor amenity space will function mainly like the lobby. So the main entry of the building will be there. We'll have leasing offices and things to the towards the Georgia Street side. But the main space around the door is going to be programmed for lounge areas and things of that nature, so that there's activity in front of the sidewalk in the street. So that ground floor space we're even thinking that potentially there'll be a connection internally to the retail, so that retail space can spill over into the amenity lobby lounge area as well. So that whole space will be activated with pedestrian friendly activities on the interior.
So well, that's what I'm asking is what's in the amenity, the purple?
Well, we haven't fully developed the full amenity package, but as we move forward with that, the spaces facing the street will have more of a loungy type atmosphere. So seating areas and places for residents to congregate internally. And as I mentioned, that there is a potential for the connection internally from the lobby space to the retail, so that space can spill over into the lounge area of the amenity space.
Yeah, and I know it's an interior space, but just thinking exterior, like as far as the building's design efficacy is, I know it's not feasible to route the entire line outside with retail, but it's just that there's a pretty good distance because we've got 294 feet of building. If that's probably about 40 feet, it's almost 200 feet or so or more of what we don't want to be a dead sidewalk. So that's why I'm interested in what the amenity space would be, because leasing is not going to be hopping, right? It's going to be when you need to be there, you'll be there. It's not like a in and out constantly. And I understand you need room for packaging and mail. So what we can use today for our review and approval is that the amenity will be a space that tenants will be, it could be a lounge space. It won't be turned into some pragmatic utilitarian space. It's going to be amenity.
It'll be amenity lounge.
For the tenants to use.
Yes.
Potential connection to the retail.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
I was going to ask if there's been consideration of adding more retail, even smaller spaces up along the street in front of that lobby zone.
Yeah, this is very early on, so we would not normally have all that fleshed out at this stage. But depending on what tenant we get for the retail, how much space we dedicate that, whether it's a restaurant or a shop and go or something like that, it's still kind of up in the air. We're working with a couple of groups in town to help us kind of analyze which is going to be the best fit. And we're working with Randy to see what they're already doing in the area, what's coming, so we can complement what's already there. We totally understand everybody wants a grocery store, but you just can't fit a regular grocery store in here. You've got to park and you've got to load and unload, and the traffic is going to be already a challenge. But we're working on something that we might come up with similar to that. But to answer your question, there is always a possibility to expand that retail space. Well, right now we're focusing on doing the best we can with the retail space that we have there, finding the right fit for that corner that's going to activate that corner. We know there's some other restaurants that are already coming, so we're not trying to step on anybody's feet. But we also know that there's going to be some retail needs there that are like shopping, groceries, snacks, medicines, different little things like that, trying to figure out what the best fit is. But there's so many concepts that are available, and it's just so early on to commit to one right now. But we do have that kind of vision in there. you know, and we have some other ideas about some space. We had talked early on about maybe some museum space, paying tribute to the neighborhood, the history of the neighborhood. If you see the package, you see the artwork and the murals that we have conceptualized for the outside of the building, paying tribute to the Giants baseball team. We want to get some labeling on there. Again, this is just so early on. We're just in the beginning stages of talking with the Beck Center and beginning to kind of get a understanding of what we can do and how it could work with what they've already done. So that's our goal. I hope that answers the question.
I brought up
Again,
more questions, honestly. With the history, like this image we're looking at here, like again, very pragmatically, we're reviewing a project today. I know there's things that are subject to change, but today on that west elevation of Florida Street, we're reviewing locations that will be art murals, correct?
Correct.
They will be, okay. And I know then there's to say, well, whether we secure that design or whatever with the Beck Cultural Center, it could be different.
we're going to do it either way.
Got it.
That's just our current concept. Now, they may change a little bit.
Sure.
But we're going to have some mural type effect there, yeah.
Got it. Understood.
And I just want to make sure that those are a mural on the louvers. Is
Right.
that correct?
That's
Just so
correct.
you know, everybody understands how that's going to work.
Got it. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the facade. Like, of course, I would hope to have seen the masonry and the metal panel remain, and I understand the change in construction from, sure, the pro forma to be able to bear the costs that are required. It had to come off, but my comment's less about the material going to Equitone or the fiber cement, and more just about the project is not unique, I think, in any way. It could be anywhere. You mentioned Nashville twice, and unfortunately I was like, well, this could be in Nashville, and I'm not going to use the statement of let this be of Knoxville. That's a vague statement. I guess what I'm saying is you are in the context of the ball stadium and then the adjacent, some of the housing that's there with the Delaney that does have some architectural design to it. I guess I just like you to speak a little bit more architecturally to what makes this project unique as far as a multifamily housing project, architecturally designed. Because right now it seems very much just computational design, and it's this is how the space is laid out, and it's just what the result was. So as I see less architecture and more just this is what the unit count needed to be in the unit mix, and this could happen anywhere. So what makes this architecturally unique to not to Knoxville, but in this project?
Well, thank you for that question. We based our design first off around the warehouse district. So the base of the building has a warehouse feel to it. The openings, the fenestrations, and the breakdown of the fenestrations is done in a warehouse style. So that's our base, and then above that, the residential architecture rises above that. We're using the push and pull of the facade to create the undulation so that there is a residential feel to the building, but it also breaks down the scale so that we have a almost 300-foot facade here that we're using the undulations of the materials and the facade balconies as well as fenestrations to break down the facade as you go down the Patton Street. I mean, the idea is that this project is marked by the corner. So the top of the building has a unique, distinct material and design to it that's marking the corner of the building that's overlooking the stadium, along with the unique balcony design at the corner, and then culminating at the base of the building where we have the unique arched opening for the retail. All of that is done in a way to create interest that's visually pleasing. We think that I'm glad to hear that it can go anywhere, because it is a design that we think fits within the context of the site with the material choices that we've made. But the base concept is around fitting within the warehouse district, paying homage to that, and then creating a residential style or feel that rises above that warehouse base.
And just from an owner's perspective, one of the things that we talked to the designers as they were working through, there was intentional, everything here is intentional. It's not just a box that we put out here. So the goal that we had was we've got the Smoky Mountains on one side, we have the downtown district on another side, and we have the baseball stadium on that side. So if you look at the balconies, they're not, if you look at some of the balconies in town, you've got these very small balconies, you can barely put 2 seats out there. We're very intentional about the size of our balconies. We want to encourage and incentivize people to get out there and participate in the events that are happening outside. So if you're looking at the stadium, you're going to be able to see and hear the music and see what's happening out there. If you're on the other side, you're going to be able to appreciate the Smoky Mountains and see the views of the Smoky Mountains. So that's something that we thought through and we thought about. It's something that we've done not just in Pittsburgh, for example. We have some similar views out there. So we set up balconies that are larger with intention to have people actually use them and to be outside and to get the benefit of that space. So, you know, you're talking about my baby now, so it's not just another building. It's not just a box. This is a lot of thought and a lot of time has gone into, you know, the windows that we have out there, the doors, how the doors are facing, why we put the balconies where we put them, the size of the balconies. We want to encourage people to be outdoors, and we do see this as a vibrant downtown district at some point in the next few years.
What's going to make this project be memorable as opposed to the other multifamily projects we're seeing built in Knoxville right now?
Man, it's
and its architecture. That's what we're here to talk about, is the design. Like, I mean, again, I didn't work on that project, but across the way is the Delaney, which has architectural feature to it, and that one is memorable whether you like it or not. You know what it looks like. So I guess I'm trying to drive home the point is we're obviously very, very welcoming of development. We appreciate that work and everything that's happening in Knoxville. It's just that Knoxville, if we can have, like, we need to have more than just like the kind of status quo project, and that's what I'm asking, like, what makes it unique to this and why we should get excited about it is for the architecture.
I'll let the architect speak to the bulk of that, but I'll point out a couple of things just to remember. The Delaney is multi-million-dollar condos for sale. It's a different product for a different purpose. We're not building multi-million-dollar condos for sale. So
But
our
the
product,
design of that isn't necessarily just how much money was spent on it. It was the architectural design. So it's design. You're paying a designer to work on it. I'm just asking, like, what is it that of your project that makes it unique compared to that one? We could point to any other. I'm just using that one because it's adjacent to your house.
Right.
What's making yours unique?
I think I'll let the architect design their building or describe their building.
Well, again, I think the use of materials, we wanted to create again, hardening back to the warehouse district, but we looked to create a very sophisticated design by using just a few materials and the changes of those materials across the facade to create a very sophisticated design approach. Using the materials as the projections off of the building and then having a base material at the back, the metal panels as the base material along the back of the facade, and the lighter materials creating the undulations. I think that from a design perspective, you appreciate the simplicity of the design, and it gives you a memorable feeling because of the simplicity. You get to look at the building as something that can stand the test of time. So it gives it a timeless feel. I think the use of materials here, we were very considerate about making sure that we weren't over designing and putting too many materials and too many moves. Which you can, if we had we have some detailed drawings that show more of the detailed, so you can appreciate the level of detail that
I think they've got this
going
on
into.
up here.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, and I looked at that, and I do appreciate, I mean, number one, the fact that you've got the continuous insulation even going over the parapet, which is sometimes hard to get in projects. So that top left detail, you're mitigating all the thermal bridging. So I appreciate, like, you guys are making this building a sound envelope. So I do appreciate that. So and I know my question is a hard question to answer. It's just trying to say if there is more development that extends down from you all, is it just going to be like another version of your building is going to be? I know you're going to say, oh, we hope it is. Like, that's what you would probably, that it's a version of our building. But I'm hoping that we start to see designs, and maybe it's not this one, that when we come to Knoxville, that are like giving you that wow factor of, oh, I'm going to remember that when I leave Knoxville. So that's a bit of a digression from exactly what we're reviewing as a design review board as far as design guidelines. These meet our guidelines in a lot of ways. I'm just hoping to be a bit more impressed with the proposal as far as the architecture.
I'll add too, I love the base, the brick, the huge windows. I love that. I also love the emphasis you placed on the patios. I would love to see more people using their balconies. But I agree, the top black, white, I feel like I've seen that many times in a lot of buildings. And so it feels like, oh, another one of those when I see it. Love the base.
Yeah, I think I agree with Cameron. It seems like I'm a little disappointed that some of the brick went away, but I understand the need to make the numbers work. It seems you have the brick wrapping the entirety of the building, right, at the 2 floors. I'm almost wondering, does the corner loses its emphasis, I think. You have it at the top and the bottom. I like the curve, the radius corner. I think that's a really neat detail. But it almost seems like that whole corner could have presence, maybe even have the same industrial kind of looking windows all the way up. That's a very prominent corner, especially as it gets developed out. You turn the corner of the stadium and it's just there. I almost wonder, have you studied making that all brick? I can't remember what the original proposal was, but just that corner, making it all brick. It would be nice to see the piers kind of continue up, and I'm not even saying make it all brick, but maybe you could have a layering of the fiber cement panels with almost like a woven look.
We had originally, before the building was shrunk by a floor, we had a lot more brick because our structure at the time could support it. With this, the wood, it limits you on how high the brick can go. So it was a conscious decision that we made to have the base have a very strong emphasis, as opposed to raising the brick up and creating a difference in scale of the building. We did study that, but it took the scale, increasing the base, or even taking it to the corner and raising it up was generating a different scale of the building. So the base was losing its emphasis. And that's one of the things that we really like about this design is that it has a very grounded feel to it with the masonry base. Now, that's not to say that we couldn't study the corner a little bit more, maybe dress that up to what you're saying, that we could potentially address that corner with a little bit more glazing potentially. That would help to highlight that even more on the corner. But we are looking to, you can see that there is a unique design to the balconies there, the uniqueness of the arch at the base. We are conscious of making that corner an emphasis of the building, and then capping it with the top and a different material up there. But to your point, we could study a little bit more on that corner to address it, if that would please the board even more. I mean, that corner could use could get a little bit more glazing, I would think, there.
Yeah, I would personally like to see more detailing or options for what you looked at on the corner. More glazing, I think, would help. I think right now it almost, are you talking about the top? More glazing at the top? Is that what you're proposing?
I would think that it would run up the corner, so.
From the ground all the way up?
Yeah. So maybe what we're showing at the third floor there, where we have a different window fenestration type, that could potentially take more of a space and go up several floors on that, up to the top.
Yeah, kind of picking up on Tony's thing, and this view in particular really picks up on that. And I don't know if that's a different version, because in this one, the corner really has an opportunity to almost read as another building. Instead of continuing your black, white, black, white, black, white, and you've got your round base, you still have your strong base, and then you've got your setback for the upper floors, and you've got your nice little hat on top there that really says this is something different on the corner.
Yeah.
If there's some way to continue that sets that corner, that'll help break the mass of it down as well, to where it starts to read like that's a corner building that is a part and yet not a whole of the rest of the structure there. And that could be done with materiality or some shift in fenestration, but it started with the curve and the balcony on the corner, but this one reads, and that must be an earlier
Yes, that was
version.
This is
there.
from the workshop that we had earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to Tony's point and your point, Perry, like that is more unique than just the undulation dance across the face. Like, does that corner just speak differently? I mean, to use your own words, you're saying that was part of the architectural
Yes,
character
it
you were
is.
trying to derive, is to emphasize that. So I think that the rest of the board their comments are helpful. It's like that's the articulation moment. I don't even know if it's necessarily more glazing, but it's just, setting that piece apart more so.
Yes, I mean, that's definitely an achievable thing that we can address at the corner.
In the big picture, looking back to this one, I actually like it better with the less brick on the stronger base. That gets you more of that horizontal notion to it, which is, street front and little
You like the
sidewalk.
less brick on the new option.
Yes. Well, and the shrinking of the base
Yeah.
to where it's more pedestrian oriented in scale along there, and then it sets the mass back. So
There's also a datum they created in that option with the mezzanine that's starting to break that up a bit more too. So as opposed to the new option.
What I really like about the brick on the newest option is that it almost feels like an old building that has been redeveloped. And I like the idea of extending more of that look up, like almost, do you guys remember when Strong Hall on campus was torn down and they kept a tiny bit, you know what I mean? But I like the idea of it looking like it was once something. It was once a warehouse, and now it's this. More similar, like Sturkey and Emporium. I like that. It, to me, looks like Old City.
Yeah, I mean, I can almost see the corner, like those industrial windows, they continue up, and those could be like premier, units in the building, floor to ceiling glass, and and continue that industrial look that it seems like several people on the board are wanting to see more of.
I like the base a lot too, just to agree with the board, the brick in general, and the new picture as well shows a lot of depth and rhythm. But our guidelines talk a lot about pedestrian experience. And so can you talk a little bit about the exterior lighting? I see you have some on the brick and the base, but just for feeling safe on that block.
So we will have obviously lighting around the entry points, but beyond that, there will probably be sconces, exterior sconce lighting. We have a regular pier design to where the masonry is broken up into piers, so we could light those along the sidewalk. That would help and enhance the street lighting that's already going to be there. But we can also put some lighting on the building at each one of those masonry piers.
A bit more pragmatic question is in the submission and the material composition, it's less about what the materials are, but just how they're described. So like FCP01 is just says composite wall panel. That leaves a lot of room for interpretation. If we approve the YOL to move forward, then that could just be swapped out with any composite wall panel. So what is FCP01 actually trying to be proposed as?
We are proposing what's known as an equitone. It is a high-density fiber cement panel that's a through color, so it's a higher quality fiber cement panel.
Yeah,
so
and
we brought some
Equitone
samples to pass around if anyone wants to take a closer look.
That's great. I guess I was actually meaning specifically in the design, what is FCP01? It's different than FCP02. It's...
Oh, we have the wood-like material is the FCP01.
Okay. Would you be opposed to that wood look being a warm color rather than a wood grain? Because we often have a bit of conversation about faux wood materials, because there's been projects that have built like that in Knoxville that don't look so great over time with the faux wood look.
Yeah. I mean, we're the this is a panel called Nishihide. This is again a pretty high quality material as well. It's higher grade than your normal fiber cement panel. But yeah, we're open to that being just a color. It doesn't have to be a wood grain tone. We've used this on projects before, and it definitely does provide a warmer texture. So we do like that about it.
Right.
But we can get the similar look with just a colored panel as well.
Is the soffit SOF01 actual wood, or is that the same?
No, it will be the same
material.
material. Yeah.
So yeah, similar like comment. If it's trying to be like a warm balcony up there, could that be achieved without a grain, like a faux grain of fake wood? And it sounds like it can.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd be curious to see that material sample you have. One question I have on the wood specifically, is it vertical or horizontal? I've seen it two different ways in your package.
It would be.
Oh, do you have the wood look one? Okay. Thank you.
It would be horizontal, the wood grain.
So Cameron, to your point, it looks consistent in terms of you wouldn't even see the grain unless you're right up next to it.
Yeah. I personally feel like, and again, personally, the rest of the board can disagree. The more we approve wood look, we're just getting more and more faux materials coming to Knoxville.
On the soffit as well, what are you proposing for the balcony soffits? Is that metal panel like the ground floor soffits, or is it?
Yes, it's a metal panel wrap of the wood structure.
Okay.
I think we have a detail in our package that shows that at a closer.
Yeah, I may have missed it. I saw the ground floor canopy detail.
That one.
Yep, there you go. That's
it'll be the same kind of detailing?
Yep. So it's a panel facade on the rim, the trim around, and then the soffit as well.
Is there another material on like a face material that it relates to, or is it a totally separate metal?
No, it's the same metal. We're
Okay.
using the same metal.
Same color
yep.
as well? Okay.
I'd be curious to know what the board thinks about this, and the architect and applicant, but with this corner being such a great design opportunity, both on its position on the site and the architecture that's been established so far, I wonder if we should consider a different color for the corner element for that panel volume that comes up from that, the larger proportion there, that might just lean more into that strength. And therefore, with that long width of the building, it does help cut it into like the back sections and the center emphasis.
I think that's, as we were discussing this, I think that's where our head is going with that corner wrapping both sides, that volume being a different, unique material color, as well as I can see us taking the fenestration type and carrying that up as well on that as another suggestion that was provided. I can see both of those working here.
I'm trying to chart a path that gets us to see an adaptation of our comments and discussions and the directions that I can see the gears turning with you guys on as well in a way that doesn't delay the project any more than necessary. And I think in the light of we got to see it to believe it idea, we may have to postpone to look at this again next month with these adaptations made. I don't think we have any precedent of circulating changes between meetings, and we really are bound to debate in public. But that might be a motion that I would present, not to stop the discussion here, but I'm trying to see where we're going on this eventually. I understand the desire to get this under construction, but that's my concern from the owner's standpoint.
Well, from the ownership standpoint, obviously, we do not want to postpone or delay this in any way. Our goal and what we have tried to do, and we've been very proactive in reaching out to a lot of city officials and some of you, is trying to address all the possible concerns up front. So our goal in coming today was to make sure, and preparing for today was make sure that we were meeting the guidelines of the Design Review Board. And we put a lot of effort into making sure we did that. Obviously, you can come back 10 times in a row, and every time you come back, you're going to see something a little bit differently. People have different opinions on different days, and it just feels different. We are certainly open to engaging in dialogue as we continue to design work, continuing to reach out to members of the Design Review Board and talk through colors and things like that. The goal really is not to stop the schedule because we're running parallel schedules with financing, with pilot, with TIF, and with the design. All of that is interconnected. It's not your problem. Totally respect that. But it is a reality. The goal is to try to capture the window where we have the window of opportunity. The window of opportunity for this building is right now. Everybody here reads the news. Everybody sees the absorption numbers, how many apartments are being absorbed every month, how that absorption has slowed down in Knoxville. So all of that is impacting whether or not people are going to continue to build right now. Right now, we have a window of opportunity we want to take advantage of, and we feel the plans aligned where we can get this thing started. If it's colors, textures, things like that, we can certainly work through that, I think. I don't think there's really a need to postpone it to see anything different. If we're talking about those types of things, we're not talking about structural things or material changes. I feel like we've been pretty straightforward from the onset of our first rendition and just transparent in what our goals and intentions have been. So we'd like to try to get this thing moving forward if at all possible. And we can make certain commitments today from an ownership standpoint as far as design elements that are required to meet the guidelines. And we would be willing to do that to be able to move forward. To postpone it, it just adds to costs. It adds to risks. Even I know everybody says, well, it's only a month, but a month in this cycle is a lot of time. When you're talking about financial cycles and interest rates changing every day and treasury bonds changing every day, all of that impacts us every day. Right now, we've got a plan and we've got a window of opportunity that we would hate to lose, especially over something that we can adjust and move forward with. So that's an ownership position. But
And that's what I was trying to look out for is to keep things moving. It seems we have somewhat boiled it down, and I appreciate you workshopping this first, bringing it through us, and I find it interesting that we've kind of migrated back to an element from the originally workshopped version that makes this corner building more different, and it seems it could almost be backed up to the single request that as it moves forward, this corner building gets some of its own identity that separates it from the rest. And how heavily we specify that in the form of an approval on things that we can be clearer about. We say, resubmit to staff to see if they feel it has met the intent. But, in the defense of staff, we need to make our intent very clear to not leave them out there feeling at risk. So I would look to the rest of the board and staff to give us some advice on how we might keep this moving.
I just don't think we can approve it to move forward without seeing it.
I've recused myself. That means I can't vote. Am I allowed to speak? Okay.
Sorry about that. You're not supposed to participate in discussion. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the further it gets from this design, the harder it is to have staff review. If it's just a color change, same materials, I don't know if that's really that problematic. I think we'd probably want to, think about what kind of, how that might look. As staff, we can always send it back to the board. Like if we feel like it didn't really meet the intent or thought process of the discussion, like we could send it back to the board. But yeah, it's just the more specific anything, like any condition could be for a modification, the better.
I think that'd be hard to articulate that. I think both the designer and ourselves have agreed that the corner necessitates further study to make it an exemplary project. It's already 99% of the way there. It needs to have that studied to be the best project it can be. I think we've all, as a board, multiple people have stated that. I don't think that it can be submitted to staff to have them agree that that was enough of a change or not.
Can you go over the staff recommendation just one more time to remind the whole board from when you all reviewed the application per the guidelines?
Sure. Our recommendation is pretty simple about just being the zoning standards, the city engineering requirements, and other city department requirements, and then resubmitting a sign package because they don't really have a sign package in here yet. There were a few things that I pointed out that probably the board needs to discuss. It should whether or not the building meets the intent of the guidelines recommendation to divide larger buildings into modules. They're similar in scale to traditional downtown buildings and designed with recognized base, middle, top. Building materials, whether both materials relate to the scale, durability, color, and texture of predominant buildings in the area, and whether the design meets the intent of the section of architectural character, creating visually interesting buildings that express human scale through materials and forms, and expressed as experienced close to proximity to pedestrians, so lower on the building. So it's really, in the staff report, I mentioned those things that need to be considered. It's hard from a staff perspective to say, like, hey, you need to change this detail. It's not really our job, but point out some of the elements of the guidelines that y'all need to consider.
I understand the want to move forward today. Are there some of these other things that you're talking about? Are they things that can be worked on concurrently with some of these? This seems like it's a minor thing, like the corner, in terms of the grand scheme of your project. Like Cameron said, it's 98% there. It's just that one corner that needs to be studied. We're not looking to carve out your building or change massing or anything like that. It's really materials at this point, and the material palette is nice. I think obviously it meets the guidelines, and I think it's a nice material palette you have. It's really just the placement of where those are and how they terminate. Is there a way to move forward with your other, like the pilot and all those other things that you're talking about, and still being able to study this at the same time?
You know, without giving too much of the, you know, nobody likes to talk about the household challenges, right? Families' problems. But you're talking about a $2 million design plan. And I can't move forward with $2 million design plan without an approval from the DRB. Our expectation today is that we believe that we have gone above and beyond to meet all the guidelines that the DRB has set before us, and that we checked every box. And we believe that the one of the requirements that was presented to us was never that we were to create an exemplary building, because that is so subjective. We can create an exemplary building so many different ways. We believe that we've met all the guidelines today to be able to get a recommendation to move forward today. And based upon that, we feel confident that we should be able to do that. But we are absolutely 100% open to trying to incorporate any sort of conditional approval, coming back with a final stamp on colors or corners. We don't mind doing that. But in order for me to get the release to move forward with that kind of spend on this package, I've got to have I have to have a milestone check here. I've got to be able to tell our ownership that the design review board that we've met their guidelines. And so this is always the struggle, right? This is always a struggle because on the one hand, you want housing. We heard community, we want affordable housing. We're trying to provide affordable housing. We're working with the city to do that. We're going through all sorts of internal efforts to make that happen and to underwrite it properly. And then the balance of that is we got to have the support from the design review process as well. And we respect the comments, all of them that are made here today, and we certainly want to take them to heart. And everywhere we go, there's always a different way to interpret design elements, and I'm the last person to speak about that, right? I can't even dress myself, so I certainly can't design a building. I trust you guys that are experts to do that. But having said that, I always believe that there's a path to move forward. And if we can get that today and say, well, we'll give you an approval and here are your conditions, then we can work on those conditions and then we can put them to work. And we can say, hey guys, you guys have to do this or do that, and we'll get there. I'm hopeful that we can do that today because I'd like to be able to say and to report back the opportunity to move forward.
Yeah, let's, and I think that's what we can get to. We just need to be articulate in our conditions of approval. So I know that one item is that one thing that I asked was that could the wood grain look be altered? A condition would be that it becomes just a warm color rather than wood grain. And then we could make a condition that, how do you make a condition that's not specific to review the corner? Condition that the architect differentiates the corner more than what's currently designed, but that would give that interpretation up to them to be able to articulate it, maybe more in kind to what the previous, the workshop was. That's a ramble, but is there some way of saying that clear that can give them something to work on, but also move forward with their work?
What if we suggest two really easy to review alternatives? One is that it stays a high density composite panel, but of a different color than FCPO2, which is the white body color. Or two, that it becomes metal panel, which is an elevated material above the composite.
Yeah, that's helpful. And I think that would differentiate the corner too. So,
and pretty achievable.
Are you saying just for that corner?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is brick out of the question in terms of cost on this one?
The structural
height.
feasibility, we wouldn't be able to take it all the way up, so it would have to stop at a certain point. We're
Okay,
trying
it
to
kind of
avoid
becomes a
that.
birthday
Yeah.
cake look after that.
Yes.
Okay, understood.
But
Okay.
if we think those specific parameters could be staff reviewable, that seems like achievable conditions with the staff's blessing.
Yeah, I would just say, as a reminder, this board's purview is not to impose any subjective conditions. It's
Yeah.
not to, redesign the project. It's really just to review what's in front of you in terms of the guidelines. Now, that being said, if we're going to delegate authority to staff, in terms of some administrative approval after the fact, I would just reiterate what Mike Reynolds was saying. We definitely want to make sure that the staff has clear guidance and clear parameters, because so much of the criteria here, leaves a lot to be discussed.
Yeah, and I just think it addresses the criteria that Mike was pointing out in the breaking it up in scale to more buildings, more appropriate to a downtown scale as opposed to the entire block thing. And so I think it does achieve some of the guidelines that we are set here to move forward, mass and scale. But I'm with Cameron, if we can set something forth that keeps us moving.
So Sarah, what was your suggestion?
Yeah, so the two conditions we've talked about are both that primary material on the corner volume and then the wood look panels. And
Yep.
so I think the wood look panel is really straightforward. Pick an accent color instead of the wood look. But this primary material on the corner volume, which is being labeled as FCPO2, if we said that is to be replaced with either a differentiated color for the composite panel, so one that's not seen elsewhere on the building, or a metal panel, which would be considered kind of an elevated material, then that would be an acceptable differentiation for
Yeah,
the
to
corner.
differentiate the corner.
Yeah,
that
with
was-
one of those two methods.
Yeah.
I'm a little uncomfortable with introducing a whole nother material that's not already on the palette.
It is. There's metal on the back.
Yeah, I would say if
Maybe
they're
just
using the
identifying
same,
that.
identifying the same, metal that's already in the palette as a corner piece, as
We
opposed to a
also-
whole nother color or texture or.
Yeah, so the darker color on this facade is a metal panel that wraps around to the other side of the building as well, to the back side. So if you use the same panel and the same color, it would just kind of extend that same color further along that facade before the next section of high-density fiber.
Will we see this building again for like public art review or any of those things related to the mural?
For signage, we will.
Signage, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, the other way we could think about this is if we think that it substantially meets the guidelines that we're set forth to review, even as it is, that we ask for these things. One is an easy condition, the wood look material, but the others are a little harder to interpret. And so if we don't feel like there's a comfortable path for doing that, then we don't make it a condition of approval, but we say, it's pretty good. We'd like it to be a little better, but we can't make that a condition.
I think that's where we're at. So.
Okay.
Is there a way, Christine, I don't know who at the city, but is there a way to approve everything but the corner?
I mean, technically, the board could approve the package or the project, subject to bringing back the corner element for review again, like with the changes. I don't know how that really.
I don't know how helpful. I don't know. Is that helpful so you can
That's
keep
what I was
moving
going to
forward on
ask.
other parts of the building?
I would just simply try to keep it as simple as possible, right? I like the idea of the recommendation with, hey, this is good, but try a little bit harder, because we will. And to that, I just want to say this, that when we went to the process of rezoning this parcel, we looked at all the different options, right? We had the right to build the same building without rezoning, but we rezoned it with the intention of coming here to you guys, because we had already started conversations. Some of our neighbor developers have not rezoned their parcels with a specific intention of avoiding you guys. So I want you to take that to heart and think about that today, is that we have, from the very beginning, tried and made every effort to come and we want your approval. We want to be incorporated into what the vision long-term is. And so if you were to give us a recommendation and say, hey, this is good, but I'd like for you guys to work on this, these guys will be calling you next week and we'll be coordinating and we'll be saying, hey, let's try to make this better. That's our goal. So I would rather do that than do any kind of subjective come back and forth, because I feel like that, at the end of the day, the goal is to move forward and to make this what you guys want it to be, what the community wants it to be, and what's going to be successful in this neighborhood. And we're not going to go out and do something just to, this is the first of several that we have lined up for this area. So we're going to want you guys to be, we want you engaged in what we're trying to do. So we're not going to shortcut this in any way. So
We'd see the result in the sign package review.
I mean, you might, but it's.
They don't have to
but
show
you would have
anything.
no
Yeah.
authority to
Yeah.
require a change at that point in time.
Yeah, as far as the guidelines being met, I think really it's the encouragement that we'd like to see the corner articulated better, just as an opinion as an architect and design discussion, and the actual, any change we could make with the approval would be to swap the accent material to an alternate material and then move forward. Yeah. If I had just said that I would make a motion, then that would have been easier, wouldn't it? I'd like to make a motion to approve per staff recommendation with the added condition that the accent material FCP01 be alternate, have an alternative material selected than the wood look composite wall panel. Stop.
Second.
What was your motion just for the wood look
Yep.
portion?
And to approve all other aspects of the plan?
Yeah, because we just talked about as a group that there's nothing we can articulate further than that outside of our guidelines. That we have stated for the past half an hour that we think the corner needs to be worked on and articulated better. So.
But Cameron, you're not mentioning the part below the wood look, right? It's just what's above.
Just the wood look.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this for the applicant's knowledge. So the board approves the project with the one condition. You'll have a certificate of appropriateness you can move forward with. If you do decide to consider, modifying that corner just because you want to, that's fine. It probably will have to come back to the board, but you already have a certificate of appropriateness for what you have presented today. So that would be an optional thing for you to come back if you wanted to change something.
Understood. Thank you.
We have a motion. Is there any further discussion before we'll call this to a vote?
Do we want to include an amendment to make the material of that whole corner piece that we were talking about earlier, either the black metal panel that's already in the project or something else that gives it more presence other than, because, I mean, they could just change the wood look to something else and then the whole corner just kind of blends into the rest of the massing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, based on the discussion, I mean, my expectation with the change of that wood would be a very similar type of color, something in that range, but just, a
That's
solid
our
color.
understanding as well.
Yeah.
We're
So it wouldn't-
swapping it out for a color that's matching the intent here.
Well, possibly rather than require, which could put our staff under the gun, would be to encourage as part of the motion, to encourage the re-study of this corner. And that you could bring that back to us, but in the interim, you've got your approval.
I think that's probably the way to go, because like if we stipulated that dark metal panel there, then the corner starts bleeding beyond the corner volume. So again, domino effects. So I think the motion still stands. Any further discussion? All right, with that, we'll take this to a vote. Certificate 6A26DT, the motion stands to add the condition to the staff approval to omit the wood grain in favor of an accent color. Otherwise, to approve with staff recommendation, I'll now take it to a vote. All those in favor?
Was there a second on that? Oh, you, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right, the certificate of appropriateness carries.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
That we have to review.
All right, great. And then I think we have an update on our
Yes,
material
no, you
workshop.
can-
Is that correct? Or do we have
Real
anything else to
quick,
close
we
for this?
probably want to finish out 7A.
Yes, thank
The
you.
applicant is here.
Okay, great. So that was 7A26IH, is that correct? Okay, so this item was postponed earlier in the agenda for the applicant who was not able to be here, but they are now present. So looking at 1120 Adcock Avenue, which I think we've already discussed, correct?
Would you like me to read the staff report off again? I know it's been
Sure,
a
if you
few
don't mind.
minutes.
Thank you, yes.
This case is for a new single-family house fronting Adcock Avenue. House measures 30 feet wide by 44 feet deep and is proposed to be set 23 feet from the front lot line, with the front porch set at 15 feet. Parking is a driveway next to the house and is accessed via Adcock Avenue. Features a 612 pitch front gable roof clad in asphalt shingles, an exterior flap siding, and a block foundation clad in stucco that measures approximately 8 inches tall at the front elevation and increases in height to approximately 6.5 feet tall at the rear elevation. The building features an 8-foot deep, partial width front porch recessed under a projecting front gable massing with board and batten in the gable field and supported by 2 6-inch posts with lattice or decking screening the underside. The block features minimal traditionals, craftsman bungalows, and infill construction that is all one story, so the proposed height is appropriate. The foundation height increases with the downward slope of the property, similar to other houses on the block, and is clad in stucco to be adequately finished. Major changes to the foundation height must return to the board for review. The board approved the same house design at 1130 Adcock Avenue, it's right here, in February, that has since been constructed, which used shakes in the porch gable field, while this project uses board and batten. The final siding color should be differentiated from the color used at 1130 Adcock Avenue. With that, staff is recommending approval of Certificate 7A26IH, subject to the following conditions. Final site plan to meet city engineering standards with minor revisions to be approved by staff, major changes to the foundation height to return to the board for review, and the final siding color to be different from the siding color used at 1130 Adcock Avenue.
Great, and is the applicant present, would like to add anything to the staff recommendation?
Yes, I'm here. Jesse Alarcon, 4124 Oakland Drive. I think we previously moved this, well, since last time we moved the building forward a little bit. I think that helped the elevations quite a bit out in the rear. So now the elevation in the rear is a lot smaller, which I think looks good. Everything else looks good as well.
Great, thanks. With that, I'll open it up to board discussion.
I see you've noted a stucco base. Is it actually going to be real stucco, or is that parge coat?
It'll be stucco that we go over with a sponge. So it won't be like just slapped on, you know, that looks real nasty. We make it a nice, smooth finish.
And that's just the mortar of the block mortar?
Yes.
Okay. Is it painted, or is it just the?
No, just the stucco.
So it just looks like the base got smaller, so that's a better result, I think, overall. So.
Yeah, I think it's a major improvement. So I appreciate the effort to change it.
Yeah. So I'd motion to approve per staff recommendation.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, with that, approval carries.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Thank you. All right, and then I think we have one further staff report. Is that correct? Perhaps about the materials?
Sure. So this is more just an update as requested by the board last month. This is basically what the board did was kind of remand the material amendments to the zoning code back to staff and we just haven't had a chance to get together and discuss it at this point. We also want to engage stakeholders. We're going to try to set up a meeting internally, hopefully next week. We'll see what we can do there. But I don't expect amendments to come back next month yet. I mean, in order to have time to get stakeholders and to make sure we can thoroughly vet that, it'll probably be 2 months out by the earliest, but you never know. Maybe there'll be something next month. This is kind of set an expectation at this point. I did hand out a memo from the city staff to you, so you have it. We don't need to postpone today. There's not an action item. So, you kind of just understand that that's the intent there is just to, we're going to continue working towards bringing that back to you. I guess if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to do what I can at this point. We haven't had a chance to really decide how we're going to move forward with stakeholder input at this point. So we're kind of in a beginning step still on our end.
So to recap, you're estimating that there's a staff meeting process first, and then that you think maybe within 2 months could also include the stakeholder input potentially?
I would say that would be the earliest.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that. I wouldn't expect amendments to come back to you next month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to throw that out there. I doubt it will come back next month, but I'll let you know. Regardless, either it's going to be an action item or I'm going to give you an update of where we're at. So hopefully I'll have more for you next month. Okay.
Great. And unless there's anything else we need to cover, I think that adjourns our meeting. Thank you, everyone.